How sweet it is.
Welcome to Brooklyn, where New York City begins.
There's no guy living that knows Brooklyn true and true. 'Cause it'd take a guy a lifetime just to find his way around the goddamn town.
Make a right.
Making it right. Welcome, come on in. It's listed as vacant land for sale by the city. And we organized and we saved the garden.
It's all about organizing.
Yes,
yeah,
yes.
Getting the neighborhood together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks.
We're very lucky.
What's your name?
Denise.
Thanks, Denise.
And this is called the Backyard Community Garden.
Fabulous.
And along Columbia Street, there are 4 other gardens.
That's great.
There's a lot of singing, gospel singing, and a lot of people, so yeah.
Gibran International Academy High School.
Are we in Park Slope?
Yeah, right.
Here. Thank you.
I've been here for about 12 years, and I think the building has been around for like 25. Those buildings over there are more recent than this building. Yeah, there were brownstones all the way up at least to 7th Avenue. I'm a professor. I teach an undergrad literature class at City College. Yeah, so I just started this semester. This is my first semester as a professor. It's pretty overwhelming. It's pretty overwhelming, but I'm trying my best to really just, be the best professor I can. But I love this neighborhood. This neighborhood is quiet. I love being in, connection to a lot of things like the trains, and we're right near Atlantic Avenue, and so there's a lot of activity here. Today is a great day to take a walk, right? And I love architecture, so I'm going to show you some of my favorite spaces. How you doing? There's a lot of changes going on in this neighborhood, People are being priced out, and you know, a lot of the buildings are very expensive. You know, trying to be able to maintain yourself as an artist in New York is a hard thing, but I was very fortunate that I had the opportunity to own this apartment. And so, you know, in that I'm privileged, and I don't take those moments for granted. An old carriage house that probably had horse and buggies there during the day. Living in a neighborhood like this is really, really important because it brings all kinds of information. You have a chance to meet all kinds of people. You have a chance to witness the change. I've been here long enough that I can really say that I'm a New Yorker. Although I was born in Florida, I am truly a New Yorker at this moment. This is one of my favorite places too. The owner's name is Chris, and he kind of does all kinds of unique things. It's not an upscale antique store. It's more like a vintage store, consignment. More like a consignment shop. All of the trailer parks, so it gives you an idea. You know, but he's a very, very gifted artist. And I have lots of his collectibles in my house. I don't know who Sarah Arenthal is, but she has really made an impression on Brooklyn. You will see Sarah Arenthal all over. Hi Sarah, I've never met you, but I want to just shout out your art. And she's everywhere, all up and down 7th Avenue.
You know my buildings?
Are they yours? Nice to meet you.
Thank you.
All over 7th Avenue.
Nice to meet you.
You go in these brownstones, they have all the natural wood. They're absolutely beautiful.
I've lived 24 years
In this neighborhood?
in this neighborhood, same apartment. My landlord's good to me. You don't find that very often, I'm sure.
You heard of Mona Lisa Smiles with the movie?
Great to see you. Have a good
Mona
day.
Lisa Smiles. That was shot.
Thanks, yeah, see you tomorrow.
Did you get that guy?
Nice to meet you.
You also said Howard Stern, right?
Howard Stern shot his original movie Around the Corner. Paul Savino, when they killed him off for Law and Order, they shot his police funeral there.
It's a beautiful structure, you know, it really is. You know about those ghost bikes over there?
Yes. Every time somebody is killed
Right.
by an automobile, they put one of those bikes with their name,
Right.
all white,
Right.
and they're throughout Brooklyn.
Exactly. And whoever this James Scott Zachary Gregg was, born in 1983, transitioned in 2016, had a life, and it's so sad that you have this type of aggressive, I want to get there so quickly that I can't respect a biker in our neighborhood. How long have y'all been in service for the public?
Oh, like I've been in like 3 years.
And you?
I'm in like 7 months.
You?
About 15 years.
Tell us what country you're from.
From Pakistan,
Trinidad and Tobago.
Yeah.
Haiti.
That's great. So I had a wonderful, enjoyable day hanging out in the neighborhood. I never get a chance to just walk the neighborhood. It was just refreshing. It was revitalizing just to see people, just to talk and just hang out and just feel the energy of people. I mean, if we can get into a place where it can be so just rushed or hurried all the time and we never have a chance to really just commune.
peaceable. Doesn't it feel like it's peaceable?
Okay, so here we are, my alma mater, St. Francis College. This is where I majored in depression and unhappiness. And after, the morning's classes, and it would be lunchtime, and I would be looking for something to eat, I would walk around the neighborhood. Being the lover of writers and writing that I am, I would discover a new writer, Hart Crane. I lived with John Dos Passos in the same building, where Dos Passos wrote Manhattan Transfer. Or Thomas Wolfe lived here, and he wrote Of Time in the River. But of course, the two most famous denizens were Arthur Miller, who met Marilyn Monroe in Brooklyn Heights. He lived here for 15 years. He owned many buildings, and in fact, he sold one, the last one before he left New York. He sold to W.E.B. Du Bois. At one point, Arthur Miller and Norman Mailer lived in the same building. Norman Mailer's parents lived on the top floor, and so Norman Mailer and Arthur Miller would meet down for the mail. And at that time, Arthur Miller was writing All My Sons, which would become a great success, and he would eventually buy his own brownstone at that point. But and Norman Mailer was writing The Naked and the Dead. So the two of them would meet, and according to Norman Mailer, who said this in a documentary, that I'm sure that each of us said about the other later on, oh, that guy is not going to do anything. Forget about him. Truman Capote finished Breakfast at Tiffany's in Brooklyn Heights, and he wrote In Cold Blood here. And he wrote a very famous essay. This is how it began. I live in Brooklyn by choice. Probably the most famous of any literary landmark would be February House. And this is where it was owned by an editor of Vogue. And he wanted to create a kind of a commune atmosphere for artists to come and live. And so W.H. Auden lived there. And Anais Nin lived there. And Carson McCullers, after she had written The Heart is a Lonely Hunter, she lived there as well. And they found something here that was totally unique. It allows you that opportunity to be in your own space and do your own thing, and yet be close enough to Manhattan. When you choose to go there, you can.
Hello, welcome. Come inside.
You can come in.
Now you can say hi to Gary.
I told him.
In every traditional Jewish home, the focal point of the house is the studying the Talmud, and then we also put pictures of our ancestors because we really value what they gave us, the tradition, and we try to keep it as best as possible. So this is my husband's grandparents, this is my grandfather, this is us. Family came to America actually after World War II. My family came from Poland, my husband's family came from Czechoslovakia, and they set up shop in Lower East Side and slowly moved to Brooklyn. As people are marrying with their children, the children want to stay near the parents want to stay near the grandparents, and before you know it, a lot of 20 by 60 goes for $2 million in this area, and there's nothing more to offer than just family, which is a big thing. This is my home office. What I do is I do makeup and perfumes for stores like TJ Maxx, Ross, Burlington. It's just cozy and just enough. I don't want business to be the focal point of my life. But at the end of the day, we still need it. Ask them if you want to drink.
I did.
If you want to, traditionally when we invite people to our home, the first thing we do is want to break
Look,
bread.
everything is good.
Make a bracha in our home. So give a blessing to the home. So the holidays, the families get together here, and actually the table extends, and we just invite as many people as we can. It's the highlight of our week, Shabbos, that the seventh day where we really just sit and sing and relax, and the focus is family and just relaxing. True relaxation. No cell phones, no electricity, no business, and you end up just reinvigorating yourself. So by Saturday night, we're all back to ready to take on the world. I tell people, when people ask me if I'm from Brooklyn, I say born and bred and hope to die in Brooklyn. And I've seen a lot of changes in Brooklyn, some for the good, some not. But it's a place it runs through my blood, and I call it home. When I go away and you read about all different beautiful cities and countries, and I travel a lot, but there's nothing like good old-fashioned Brooklyn. In my block there's a mix of Italians, some Chinese, and mostly Jewish, and we all get along just wonderful. We respect each other's boundaries. We just stay in good neighborly terms. We love each other, we care about each other, and we are not that affected by what's going on outside of our little area. We spend a lot of money on charity and helping people, and family values.
Time to get to Gershon's house today?
I don't know.
A lot of this is just going to speak for itself, It's fantastic. What's the story?
We do repairs at home, at your house, location. You ready?
Fantastic. Yay!
got
Thank
it.
you. What's
Thank
your
you.
name?
Mauricio.
Mauricio, wonderful to meet you. I love your car.
It's got to be the king.
When I'm good, I'm very good. But when I'm bad, I'm better.
Where Brooklyn at? 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 Where Brooklyn at?
He's got a record. He was always being picked up at one demonstration or another. He's a bad apple, a commie, a New York Jewish intellectual communist crackpot.
When a rabbi in her district called to congratulate her, she expressed her disappointment in being assigned to the Agriculture Committee. Rabbi Menachem Shearson suggested that she might be able to do some good on the committee. Shirley Chisholm is responsible for creating food stamps and WIC, which enables poor families to feed their children.
Are we in Brooklyn Heights? Is this Brooklyn Heights? Yes. Thanks.
Here I am on the street where I lived. Does enchantment pour out of every door? Of course, this is Brooklyn. More specifically, it's Brooklyn Heights. And we have an abundance of charm and good living here. But nothing compares to how it was back when I lived here in the mid-60s, when everything was boiling, perking. I lived here, second floor rear. It was a great 2 years, I'll tell you. Halcyon times for me. I was working over in the city, taking the subway every day, coming home every night. I live in New Jersey now. Very nice place, but it's not Brooklyn Heights. Brooklyn is the greatest. It has everything, as you're, I'm sure, discovering. And this is a jewel of Brooklyn, in my view. I love the architecture, the variety, the trees. I have a tree button on my suspenders. I'm a tree hugger. And this neighborhood still has a treasury of shade trees. And that makes it all the more livable. So I had everything here. I had my car, I had trees, I had a beautiful place to stay. There were the days, my friend, we thought they'd never end. But end they did, and I got priced out of the market.
It's a very interesting street with lots of little shops, specialty shops, whole food markets, fresh food, which I bought by cart, and flowers. And I've been shopping in the flower place ever since I moved here, which is about 50 years ago.
Born and bred in Brooklyn my whole life.
meet these people if you can.
I did.
Wonderful, wonderful. Try to get this guy on the bike.
I missed him.
No, you're coming up to him.
Okay. I'm not safety belted in, just want to let you know.
We'll take good care of you.
I am from Venice, California, living in a household of musicians, artists, and actors, being my parents and my sister. And myself, Venice was changing, and it didn't feel as interested in having artists, but more about growing the economy of the city and the town through businesses. I was caught in a loop of doing about 45 hours of Pilates a week and not doing dance. So somebody said, why don't you go to New York? It seems like people there are really interested in dance and interested in process as much as product. So you can get all of your investigating and research that you'd like to do, all that kind of like language. You'll be surrounded by people who are also interested in developing that. So me and my boyfriend at the time, we moved to New York and landed in Bushwick in Brooklyn. And I put out a call for people to work with me, and about 50 people responded, which was like so unheard of, being an unknown choreographer. And that was just so fantastic, and I got to do my first evening length piece out. So why we moved is a little bit more personal. My mom got sick, and we ended up having to leave and go back home. But Brooklyn still remains a huge place of great artist connections for both me and my husband, him as a writer and me as a dancer choreographer. And that's super rad, and I'm so grateful for it.
Well, here we are at a very important place in world literature. This is the bench that Richard Wright, grandson of slaves, wrote Native Son. It's Fort Greene Park in Fort Greene in Brooklyn. He lived not too far away. He would come here every day when he was working on the novel, and he wrote it right here in all kinds of weather, whether it was raining or not. He was asked about it, and he said, sitting here, he could see scene by scene. I told the truth as I saw it. In front of his house, there's a plaque, and on that plaque, there's a great line by Wright. He says that you can starve as much from lack of self-realization as you can from lack of bread. Fort Greene Park, interestingly, was turned into a park because of the activism of Walt Whitman. It made possible that this bench, where Richard Wright wrote Native Son, a book so, just incredibly important on so many levels, so many reasons. It was the first selection for the Book of the Month Club, written by an African American. And in fact, it sold 215,000 copies the first month it came out. 10 years after he came to Fort Greene, he left for Paris, never to come back to America.
By the way, are we going to try to find Gershwin's house today? Established in 1926, Brooklyn College was the first public coeducational liberal arts institution in New York City. Some famous graduates: Barbara Boxer, Mel Brooks, Shirley Chisholm, Alan Dershowitz, Sylvia Fine, James Franco, David Geffen, Mayor Kahane, Paul Mazursky, Frank McCourt, Bernie Sanders, Steve Sharuppa, Al Sharpton, Erwin Shaw, and Jimmy Smits. Make a left here.
Yes, I can make a left. Oh, it's not quite 11. It's a few minutes to 11.
No, hydrant.
Here we are in Brooklyn's world-famous subway museum, or the Rapid Transit Museum. And what we have here is one of the 1910-1912 Brooklyn Rapid Transit triplex cars. And these shows, we see cars ran from Coney Island to Manhattan and up the Broadway line to 7th Avenue and beyond. And so these cars made life in Brooklyn possible if you worked in New York City. And these cars served many decades, from 1912 until the 1960s, they were finally replaced. And here we are inside one of the famous triplex cars. Triplex cars were 3 separate cars permanently coupled together in short lengths for the purpose of negotiating very narrow turns in the tunnels, very sharp turns that were necessary to build a line through Manhattan. Classic transit olive green with white ceiling and the red concrete floor, contrasting with the gorgeous rattan seats, which were developed in observance of the sanitary movement. These seats were in all streetcars and subway cars because they were considered sanitary. And on these cars, unlike many others, you had the luxury of sitting forward and looking out the window as you rode. In the IRT system, all cars, as you probably know, face the center of the aisle and do not have forward-facing seats. So the wider clearances of the BMT system provided this additional luxury.
Isn't that lovely? I don't think we can do any more. This is it.
Why can't we go in here?
It's private property.
Established in 1801, the Brooklyn Navy Yard served as America's premier naval shipbuilding facility for 165 years and launched the USS Monitor, the USS Arizona, and the USS Missouri. During World War II, some 70,000 people worked at the yard until it was decommissioned in 1966. Today it houses the Steiner Studios, built in 2004, one of the largest film production facilities in the U.S. outside of Hollywood. In the fall of 2013, Brooklyn College opened the Fairstein Graduate School of Cinema on the Steiner lot, and Brooklyn Grange Farms, a 65,000 square foot commercial rooftop farm.
I run a full-service production creative agency. So this is one of my artists right here. Her name is Masha. She's actually a Russian artist, and she came here like a few years ago. Just wanted to do her thing, and I had the pleasure of meeting her through a friend. We've been working together for about, you could say, a year and a half now. And it's been fun. She's one of those artists that had like everything in her basement, and she was just like, here you go. She just like basically shoved her art at me, and I said, why not? Because I had the opportunity to have a space in Brooklyn Commons last year, and if I had an office space and you have your art in a basement, why not put it out in public so people could see and actually start to know who you are. This artist right here, Gerard, so they all use acrylic based paint. For this one, she used a little bit of spray paint too. So this was in correlation to the bedside art stroll we did last year. It's just really helping artists get their artwork out there, as well as myself and friends and family that are really interested in getting their work and artwork out there on different platforms, in different venues, and just in multitude of ways. As COVID hit, I wanted to basically start again my sewing. So I actually started sewing in 2012. That was originally how I got into the creative field, knowing what I wanted to do business-wise. I actually started my first line in 2013. Through that, I basically did fashion shows, learned through trial and error. This is actually my beanbag chair that I took apart from IKEA. I did that because at the time, fabric stores were closed. So made a mask, and I tried on right now. So this is one of my designs. I basically made it for the volunteers and friends that helped me out to help the other organizations that I work with during the time. So we work with one organization called University, and they do a lot of food distribution, especially in Brownsville. So with that, we had to wear our masks, distribute food. I have a car also, so we did like drop-offs, and we did a lot, so they needed masks, and I said, why not? If I know how to do it, why not actually use my talents to actually help? So my cousin actually got this. This is Nicole Prime's doing. In this house, we are real, we make mistakes, we have fun, we are respectful, we say I'm sorry, we always tell the truth, we give hugs, we speak kindly, we say thank you, we dream big, we keep our promises, we are patient, we do our best, we are grateful. My family is actually super religious, so my cousin is basically the pastor's assistant, and this actually came from one of the models that I was helping at the time. She actually stayed with us, so that's what we do sometimes. We do like a little bit of like housing for the artists that I work with when we have extra room. So this is actually one of the artists. The Lord is my light and my salvation, just to keep our light and our dreams alive, just to keep our focus on the positive. So, amen. This area is East Flatbush that I live in. That's where my house is, and I was born and raised in this area. We're actually headed to University right now. That's one of the fellow organizations that I work with, and they do a lot of food distribution.
Over 1,400 boxes going out this week, and another, over 2,500 boxes. Over 2,500 boxes again. That's great. Yeah, looking forward to it. We're feeding Brownsville, East New York, Bed-Stuy, Crown Heights.
Just helping out.
She runs
University
spaces.
has essentially helped us get food over to the other side of the district in Bushwick. So through our partnership, we've been able to serve 3 other developments over there, plus about 60 families a week that don't get access to public assistance. So it's been a really good.
So this mural was actually done last year by several of the artists that actually collab with myself, as well as especially University, especially because they're right across the street. But this is a combination of University, artists that we know, people that we love and work with, but this is all their artwork and just coming together for community. So one of the artists that actually had a hand in painting one of these murals, she works with another individual in Uganda that we actually work with, and we all just team up together, just highlighting our work. She actually goes overseas painting murals too, so she's a part of this. She's had her hand in some of the paintings on this, so just highlighting everybody that does something.
George Gershwin grew up at 242 Snedeker Avenue.
Yes, it should be a national monument. The People's Republic of Brooklyn. No, it's funny, when I had the idea of doing this, I didn't really understand why. But it's more and more clear what it is about.
This when we first got the place, but it's in the flight path of LaGuardia Airport, and we sat and timed it one night for several hours. It was about one plane every 90 seconds at, at the height of airplane rush hour. It was 1067 Pacific people. So the idea was, just by being here or entering the space, you became one of the people. We were trying to be somewhat egalitarian. So the idea was that anyone who came was a member and could participate in everything that we did. So we had a 5-year lease on the space that ended a little more than a year ago. Garage with lot. And we came here and looked at it and thought, this is either the worst idea in the world, or it's going to be a whole lot of fun. It's no longer here, and it's completely done in a different way. We had the little garage there, which is about 25 feet by 25 feet. So it's a 25-foot by 100-foot yard or property. The back quarter of it was a garage, and this is the yard that we had. And we did a whole messload of things here, understanding plants and how ecosystems reclaim, horribly degraded territory. This is the last remnant of our invasive species garden. This is princess tree. It's a hardwood. It originally comes from China, and it's a very resilient tree. So when they cut it down, it just sprouted out of from the stump, and it's pretty much the last remnant we had in here. But we had a lot of different species. I mean, when we started out here, we only had 5 different species, and over the 5 years that we had it, we got up to I think about 35, and running an art project and getting to know people on the street, like Leon, aka Hollywood. It was an amazing experience. We put in a homemade sprung wood dance floor in there by using, Andrea came up with a method of using pallets, wooden pallets, and then we covered the wooden pallets with plywood. We had a beautiful sliding door, wooden sliding door that we used here, not these metal doors, because it was our only light. We put in the skylight, given Andrea's artistic, she's a painter as well as a choreographer. Every 6 months or so, we changed the way, the entire layout of the space. There were a lot of different kinds of performances that we did here. One of the ones that comes to mind for me was something called the Pop-Up Gesture Store. And the idea was that it was a store, and we had sellers who were performance artists, who essentially were selling what they called gestures. And people would come in and they couldn't pay with money. They had to pay by giving a gesture back. So the idea was creating an economy of reciprocity, and also for people to understand that they are creative artists too, and they could come up with amazing gestures back to us that were just as amazing as the gestures that we structured and created for them. Some of the gestures we got back were just, amazingly awesome and heartfelt. And it was an amazing way to communicate with people. And again, reducing the barrier between art and community. So just by walking in, you became someone who not only could buy a gesture, but could give a gesture back and be able to participate and be a performance artist yourself. This was an experiment in ephemerality. So the idea was that there would not necessarily be any particular memorialization of the work, because the work was momentary. It was designed to be momentary. It was designed to be experienced. I want to say one other thing about the neighborhood. This is the edge of Crown Heights, dividing line between Prospect Heights and Crown Heights. This block, for many years, was not a repair block. This was a commercial corridor in an otherwise residential district, and there's a proposal under discussion with the community board to rezone the block to residential, or at least mixed use. Once they do that, everything here is going to be 7-story buildings. As the landlord said at the very beginning when we rented it to him, I said, what happens if they change the zoning? And he said, if they change the zoning, I'm a millionaire many times over. And it'll all be luxury housing. So the neighborhood is going through this replacement in a historically Caribbean and working class zone is becoming, much more white and gentrified.
Hey guys, my name is Raheem Wallace. I'm 23 years old and I want to tell you a little bit about my story and how I made it to Brooklyn. So I moved here on a scholarship when I was 19 years old for dancing. I've lived in several parts of Brooklyn. I've lived in Coney Island, I lived in Bay Ridge, I've lived in Fort Greens, and now I live in Crown Heights. I dance at many different studios in New York City. I've been to the Alvin Ailey studio, the Prairie Dance studio, the Rippers Barclay studios, done it all. Now I am a freelance marketer and designer. What makes Brooklyn home to me is the fact that when I come here, there's so much diversity, there's so much community, and it's a wonderful place to be. What do you know about Brooklyn?
Many notables are buried in Greenwood, among them Jean-Michel Basquiat, Henry Ward Beecher, Charles Ebbets, Louis Moreau Gottschalk, Horace Greeley, Susan Smith McKinney Stewart, Louis Comfort Tiffany, William Meagher Boss Tweed, and Leonard Bernstein.
Like 13 minutes from here.
That's Schenectady, Snedeker. Officer Spence?
Snedeker Avenue. George Gershwin's home must be across the street. Okay, should I stop shooting?